What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, broadcasting live from a lazy Tuesday morning here at Site B. Feeling a little down today. It's the 24th day of January, 2023. It's about 60 degrees and sunny, a lovely spring day. Kind of want to go outside. Definitely not feeling good today, both physically and emotionally. The past couple of weeks has definitely burnt the OGGM out on gaming and the negative aspects of the gaming community, and just, spending, 17 days, 18 days struggling and fighting and worrying about this OGL thing. And then just like days later, we're hearing comments like, how people can't wait for people like me to die and leave the hobby because we're everything that's wrong with the hobby, because we're fighting against censorship. And apparently fighting against censorship is bad. And last night I heard somebody say, well, it's not so bad because only 3 or 4 people is going to be affected by the OGL getting destroyed. Who's it really going to bother? And I'm like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 people are going to be. And who's text messaging me at this kind of somewhere? I did confirm it. Hi, we have noticed you haven't confirmed your appointment. I confirmed it. I went there yesterday. I got blood drawn yesterday, and I always feel a little sick after blood drawn. I was in my Monday night game, which I'm not trying to complain or be a jackass if anybody from the Monday night game is hearing. It's just become a really increasingly frustrating experience for me lately, the past couple months. The game seems to have bogged down. We got too many players. Online gaming is really difficult for me as it is. And last night I was really just already in a pretty bad place and came in and heard some things that just really frustrated me. It was a very frustrated run. And then towards the end, I just felt like, and I'd already talked about this earlier. And yeah, I just kind of reached the point where I'm like, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. Which is interesting because today I'm responding to a video about safety tools. And that was sort of an experience where safety tools, we've spun the wheel of irrelevance again. And the Twitter universe has brought safety tools up again as a way to sort of, I guess, derail the focus on OGL, which, leads me to believe that there are some bots out there, and there are some people who it feels like their jobs are just to derail the player base and get them focused on pointless things while the real important stories are sort of ignored. So rather than focusing on what Wizards of the Coast is trying to do with OGL in the hobby, we're again focusing our attention on safety tools and how apparently this game is unsafe. Now, there's a lot of stuff on safety tools, both positive and negative, that has been done by people far smarter than me. I'm not a psychologist, though I was raised by one. Both my parents are psychologists. I am an anthropologist, on paper. I do understand people and groups and stuff like that. I have seen experiences where things have, gotten generally in a bad place one way or another. I have had personal experiences as a game master and a player with safety tools. And my general opinion as of today is still safety tools do not work. And it feels like kind of like yesterday was sort of an experience for me where I tried to use my safety tools and it didn't work. So and your experience may vary. I have read multiple articles from supposedly respectable individuals who say safety tools at the game do work. And I've heard multiple who say it don't. So before I get into anything, let me just show you what my safety tool is. Now, this is not my idea. I got this idea from DM Bloodworth over at Unscripted Unchained, but it's kind of something that I've sort of was using for many years without really realizing I was using it. But generally, you know what? Here is some generic art for fantasy role-playing games. All right, so I've got a guy with a sword. He's fighting a giant. There's another giant over here and another guy and stuff like that. Here's some dudes fighting a dragon. Here's the cover from a book. I think this is the Monster Manual. I don't know. We got a spellcaster We got a tentacle beast, and we got some other things. Not sure why these guys are all hanging out together, but I don't know why they're not like, just do, okay, here's another one. Classic dude fighting Red Dragon. Another one. For some reason, you got, I guess these are all the villains. No, because that's Elminster. There's a guy with a gun. That's Strahd. I don't know what this pictures is, but yeah. Another one. And another one. So why am I showing you these art pictures? Because my safety tool is if somebody comes to the table and tries to bring safety tools up or ask what the game's about or say us anything like that, I will show them the book of whatever game I'm running, and I'll show them the art of whatever game I'm running. And I will say, here, take a look at the book, take a look at the art. Is there anything in here in this art that you find you're uncomfortable with or triggers you or, makes you feel unsafe? Because you're not going to encounter anything in my game that you do not see in these pictures. Everything you're going to see in my game, every experience you're going to have is here in this book. So if there's anything in this player's handbook, this book that offends you or upsets you or makes you feel unsafe or triggers you or whatever, you probably shouldn't play this game. Let me help you find a game that doesn't make you feel unsafe, because, if you think this is unsafe for you in the real world, then you probably shouldn't be playing this game. Let's find a game where you are not upset by this. So that's my safety tool. My safety tool is that, okay? I am of the belief that the game is safe. Unless you step on a four-sider or get a paper cut, really nothing bad can happen to you at the game physically. Can the game cause emotional issues to happen and for you or somebody else to maybe go in a bad place or trigger some bad memory? Yes, of course it can, just like anything else in life can. There's not a single experience that you can walk into once you involve other people, or even if you're by yourself, where there isn't the possibility that something's going to happen to upset you. That's not just true of D&D. There is true of any situation, especially any situation where you're emotionally tuned in. Something might upset you. And if you have, PTS or anxiety issues or depression issues or all the other things that basically make up everybody on the planet, then yes, something could trigger you. Now, there's two ways to handle this. One is to be an adult and talk to the players and the DM about it beforehand and afterhand. And of course, there's session 0 where the DM tells you, this is the game I'm running. This is what you're going to experience. You're going to run into this stuff. Is there anything now that, might trigger you? Like, Susan, you're afraid of snakes. Okay, good to know. Not that you will encounter any real snakes in my game, but the idea of a make-believe snake is really going to upset you, you think? I can work around that and replace snakes with other things. Or, if it's a situation where you're like going to the lost tomb of the serpent folk, let me know that might be something you're uncomfortable with. But, you don't need special cards. You don't need safety tools. Session 0 covers it. Showing them the art covers it, and being an adult. And if Susan was in the game and Susan ran into a snake and that triggered her fear for a snake, if Susan was an adult, she would either just get up and take a break and not disrupt the game, or she would go to the players afterwards and say, okay, this is why this upset me. And the DM can go, oh, okay, now that I know, we can work with it going forward. That's the adult way to do it. And that is always the way I've done it, is either just said, got up and said, I'm going to get a soda or whatever, and then just walk it off and come back so I'm not disrupting the game, or wait till after the game's over, explain my experience with the DM and hope we can work it out. And that's what I've tried to do with the Monday game as well, but I don't feel it's working. So my personal experience as a DM, as a player, in response to the video that Diversity and Dragons did about safety tools is, I don't think they work. Now, maybe people are out there who have used safety tools and it does work for them. This is my personal experience. It is no way, shape, or form categorically that I am in a position of expertise to tell you 100% fact they do not work. Okay, I can only tell you my personal experiences, which are unique to me and the situations I have been in where I have seen safety tools used as a player, and I have seen safety tools used as a GM. I have used safety tools my own self, and they have never worked. In fact, my experience with using safety tools for myself to protect myself or to get out of situations I have felt uncomfortable with have always blown up in my face. So I'm going to tell you one or two of the stories where I have used safety tools, and you can tell me if you feel I was being unreasonable and if I deserved the shit that I got. Because I can tell you the two or three times that I've used safety tools in the past 7-10 years, every time it has blown up in my face and either caused me to walk away from a game or people to start talking crap about me, which has led me to believe it doesn't work. And I've, tried to be very, as an adult as I can about it. And I've seen safety tools that other tables use, and it's like, that's not working. That's just abusing. I have had safety tools used against me where it's like, no, it doesn't work. You're just stuff. All right. So here is my personal experiences with safety tools in a couple different games I was in. Now let's set the stage by reminding everybody that I suffer from I am high functioning autism and dyslexia and a little bit of OCD. So I like things in a very certain way. And one of the things is when I'm gaming, I am locked in the game and I want the game to work a certain way. And when it doesn't work a certain way, sometimes it upsets me. That is not on anybody else but me. I have a lot of anxiety, depression, emotional issues, and I have a lot of problem with separating them sometime. And sometimes something that I'm upset about earlier in the day or just with life or with will build up. So I was in a game that somebody was running, and we had an encounter with a lion. And the encounter with the lion really became deeply emotional because it felt like, it was really hard. It's really hard to explain, but we all got really emotionally involved with the situation with this lion. And when the lion was finally killed, it upset a lot of us. And this was about the same time I just discovered that my mom had breast cancer. So I was already very upset. And I just lost a beloved pet like the week before. I just found out my mom had breast cancer. Thankfully, she's fine. And this whole thing with the lion really triggered me. Now, I didn't say anything during the game. You could see that I was getting physically upset. I was starting to cry because it was triggering my grief over losing my pet and triggering my anxiety over my mom. So all I did was get up, said, get a soda, go to the bathroom. I sat in the bathroom for like 10 minutes, washed my face, come back, finished out the game. After the game was over, I told the DM, this is what I'm going through. I need to take a break. And I've done this before in games where just my emotions have reached a point where I need to step away from a game. Sometimes that break has lasted 1 week. Sometimes that break has just been like, I can't play this game anymore. Once I took a break for an entire year when I didn't play any role playing because I was just such a bad place and it just was like not bringing me joy. So this experience happened. It was over. I told the DM, I need to take a break. This whole thing with the lion really upset me. I need to deal with my grief over losing my pet, and I need to focus my energy on my mom. So I'm going to take a week or two off. Is that okay? All right. So that was me using a safety tool. I didn't throw a card down. I didn't stop the game. I didn't make anybody else feel shitty. I didn't, go, oh, can we retcon that? I don't want this encounter to happen because it reminds me of when my kitten died when I was 8 and that triggers me. No, I was physically upset. I knew I was physically upset. I got up. I didn't do anything to disturb the game. I got a soda. I went to the bathroom. I worked it through. I came back. I sat there for the rest of the game and engaged. And after the game was over, I was very concisely, clearly, diplomatically telling the DM my issue and telling him I needed to take a week or two off to just, deal with this. Now you would think the response would be, okay, positive. Sorry you're going through this. Let me know. when you're ready to come back, if you want to come back. Oh, I see we have some comments. The splen, the bad arts in the books. If you need safety tools, you're probably doing it wrong. The sort of situation where they're beneficial is when dealing with strangers and people you don't know, a way to communicate with acceptable conduct, i.e. session 0. A response to DD, interesting. The current fetish for safety tools is dumb. People are advocating making them mandatory for reasons that make no sense. Oh, hail seeker. I read Alice's Mything with my players and used the tools the setting could torch on some IRL subjects that might hurt someone. One session ended up being like Scooby-Doo, so we didn't need them. Okay, I'm not saying they do work. I'm not saying they don't work. I'm not saying, this is my personal experience. I used a safety tool to protect myself and to protect the other players and to explain to the DM after the game was over, so I didn't disrupt anybody. Again, I didn't, throw down an X card or cry or anything. I handled it like an adult. Did I get the response that the safety tool people think you should have? That, oh, we're going to treat you like an adult. We're going to treat you like, we understand you're going through this. We're going to respect you. And then when and if you want to come back, we're going to welcome you. No, I was shit on. I was shit on for about 6 months by the players at this table because I was upset about the lion thing. And as an adult, I did what I was supposed to. I waited till the game was over, and then I talked to the DM. I let the players know. I handled it. And every single solitary of that player at that table and the DM went around for about 6 months telling people how toxic I was and just basically trying to ruin my reputation as a game master and a player and as a person simply because I did what the safety tools say you're supposed to. Move forward a couple of years. Similar situation. I've been going to this monthly game. These people were all critical role, safety tools, blah, blah, blah. Express yourself. Let us know. So again, I was already in a bad place and I was already thinking maybe I shouldn't go to the game this week, but I wanted to sort of take myself out of the funk and sit down and just play. But we were playing and there was this just really, really unbelievably annoying kid who was going out of his way to get the party killed. And he was just doing everything he could to antagonize every NPC. And he kept like reaching out and touching other people's stuff. He kept like throwing him, he was like sitting right next to me and he kept throwing his hands up and stuff. And, I put down the X card, so to speak. I did what the DM said you're supposed to do. I did what they said when they introduced this game at this store. I followed the procedures. I asked the kid to stop. I asked, I switched places. I was like, okay, this isn't working. This kid's being really annoying. He seems to be going out of his way. He's touching my stuff. He's touching my table. He keeps touching me and everybody else. Everybody was getting frustrated. And this went on for about an hour and I could just feel my anxiety building. So I did what I was supposed to do and said, you know what, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And, then I think I'm just going to go home. I'm not feeling good. I told them I had a headache and that was it. I handled it appropriately. I didn't do anything to upset the game, unlike this kid. I didn't do anything to aggravate the game as far as I was concerned. And then when I got home and was calmed down, I sent a letter to the people and explained my situation and apologized for leaving and, let them know that I'll be back. It was a bad thing. And I played a safety tool like I was supposed to. And again, shit on. These guys just shit on me. These guys just talk crap about me. Now, these are the same people that we're seeing today that are championing safety tools, saying, you have to do all this and you have to do that. And if you're upset, you have the right to ruin the game because you're pouting. Now, let me show you experiences I've seen where people have used safety tools. My first introduction to safety tools was a group of people in a game that was opposite my game. And they had this red card thing, this red card, yellow card thing. I guess it was from soccer. And instead of using it as a way, as safety tools are said, they're basically, the DM used it to punish players, and the players used it to punish each other. There was nothing about the safety tools in place that were there to make everybody feel safe. It was basically a punishment. Another experience I've had, I don't know, this was one that was told to me, and I don't know if it was true, though I did have an experience that was similar to it, where you've heard me talk about it. But the story I heard was that there was a guy at the table who claimed he was afraid of snakes. The DM basically said, you are going into the tomb of the snake people. The very first thing you see as you walk in is imageries of snakes, okay? Statues of snakes, carvings of snakes. You're going to run into snake people. The guy was confronted by snake images for about 20, 30 minutes, including being reminded that this was the temple of the snake god. Flash forward to the first encounter with a giant snake, and just when it looks like that guy's character is about to be killed by a snake, he's like, oh, I'm afraid of snakes. Please retcon this because this is triggering my fear of snakes. And the DM, who I guess was kind of a jerk like me, looked at him and said, when did you remember you were afraid of snakes? Because you've known you were going to encounter snakes since the very first second where you sat down and we said, we're going to the temple of the snake people. And you've seen 20 minutes of snake iconography and snake statues. So when did you forget that you were afraid of snakes? So that's where an example of it being abused. So my personal experience as a player, both times I have used snake safety tools in the way that these people who talk about safety tools claim you're supposed to use them, it did not benefit me. It got me shit on. And, 2 weeks ago, I tried to use a safety tool. And again, I found myself in this situation. It's like, this isn't working. I've expressed myself, and it didn't work. It's my situation hasn't changed. And stuff like that. So now I'm at a place where maybe I need to take a break from this game, but I also know if I say, hey, I'm in a bad place, I need to take a break because this is really it's not conducive to my anxiety right now. I'm probably going to get shit on because my experience as a player and a DM has been, if you use safety tools, it does not improve your experience. It does not improve the game. It does not make you sense. Instead, when I did it, I got shit on, repeatedly shit on, repeatedly treated like shit, repeatedly insulted. People are going around saying, I'm a toxic player. Don't play in my games, because I advocated for my emotional health in a way that was adult. So carrots. Support me, carrots. Okay, so as this guy says, session 0. The only 2 safety tools you need are session 0 and this. This is what you're going to encounter in my game. Does this upset you? This is what you're going to encounter in my game. Does this upset you? This is what you're going to encounter in my game. Does anything in here trigger you, make you feel uncomfortable? Is there something in here you're afraid of? This is what you're going to encounter in my game. Is there anything here that you have a phobia of that triggers your anxiety? Do you have a fear of anything that you see in this imagery? This is what you're going to encounter in my game. This is session 0. All right. This is the game I'm running. This is the world you're going to be in. These are the things you're going to encounter. If anything in this sets you, let me know. All right. Here's my world. Here's the game. Here's what I'm running. Does this trigger you? If the answer to any of those questions was yes, you should not be playing my game. Let me help you find a game that you will like and will not trigger you. May I recommend Hello Kitty Island of Adventure, the single greatest game ever made. Okay, so yeah. Somebody asked me to tell the story about why I don't think safety tools work, and that's the story. As a player, I followed the steps. I did what I was supposed to. I advocated for myself as an adult, and instead of it going the way it should, it blew up in my face. So yeah, so when I said that they were using the safety tools, so the DM, they had these red cards, yellow cards thing, which I guess they got from soccer. And the DM would basically, every time like a player said something he didn't like, or got up and got uppity, or played in a way he didn't think the player was supposed to, he used his red card to punish them. There's safety tool. You know, safety tools are not there to make you feel better. They're there to punish the game, and they're there to break the investment, and they're there to allow players to pull the brakes, you know, because it basically breaks down to something's happening to my character that I do not want to happen to my character, because I don't want anything bad to happen to my character. So I'm going to say, I'm triggered. Oh, you can't cast hold person on my imaginary character because it triggers my fear of being bound. Well, if this triggers your fear of being tied up, you probably shouldn't be playing this game, because these are things that's going to happen in this game. And if you're playing a safety tool in the middle of the game, instead of telling people before or after like an adult and advocating for yourself like an adult, you're doing it to derail the game. You're doing it to get your character out of a situation where you felt, oh, something bad might happen, or I'm not going to get what I want, because my make-believe character, who is just nothing but a series of numbers on a piece of paper, is confronting something that doesn't exist. Nothing in the game can hurt you. Okay? Unless you get a paper cut or step on a D4, it's not real. But something that could happen could trigger an emotional response. You know, and there, we don't know makeup of what's going on. Like me, I had a bad day. I just, you know, put my cat of 12 years down. Just found out my mom had breast cancer. The situation with the lion really upset me, but I did not throw down a card and go, fuck you, fuck this story that everybody at the table is emotionally invested in. I waited till the scene was over. I felt myself getting emotionally. I got up, excused myself. Hey, I'm going to get a soda. Went to the bathroom, was in the bathroom for like 5 minutes, you know, just worked it through, sat down for the, you know, for the remaining time of the game, waited till the game was over, told the DM what I was going through, apologized, and said maybe I need to take a break, you know, used the safety tool, reached out to the players, apologized, and tell them what was going on. Hey, my cat Salem, I just had to put her down. I just found out my mom has breast cancer. I'm dealing with a lot of crap. I'm using my quote unquote safety tool to take a break, and was treated with just, I mean, just shit. And it just further upset me because, you know, hey, I just had to put my cat down. My mom might die, and you're giving me shit and spreading horrible rumors around about me because of this. How is that a safety tool? How is that making anybody safe? Why are you playing this game if you don't think it's safe? If you think something in the land of make-believe can actually harm you, you shouldn't be playing it. If it triggers a mental and emotional response that nobody was expecting, that's fine. As an adult, you deal with it as an adult. Even if you're 9 years old, you still deal with it as an adult. You step up and say, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to get a soda. I'm going to step outside. I've got a headache. Somebody else I knew always used the excuse of, I got to go home. My girlfriend's, sick. And that was his safety tool. And we all knew it. But so I did it and it failed, which is why I don't think they work. Yeah. Okay. So well, I think the snake guy was using it to abuse safety tools. But yeah, I mean, you should, session 0, if you're afraid of spiders, which I think is what, number 1 or number 2 most common fear in the world. I know clowns in like the top 3, which is weird, but yeah. 90% of people on the earth have a fear of spiders or snakes or things that, creepy crawly things. You should know that you have a fear of spiders. And you should say during session 0, I'm afraid of spiders. But I understand that the spider in the game isn't real. Now, if you surprise me and throw a fake spider on the table to, bam, encounter, bam, surprise, bam, Halloween spider thrown at the table. And then sure, I could see how that could maybe trigger you. But normally, if you're going through D&D and you've already expressed to people, hey, then they should, the DM should either be like, okay, I can trade spiders for scorpions or giant crabs or literally any other monster that does basically the same thing. But yeah, what I'm looking at the carrots and I'm like, okay, what if you had? I mean, the safety tool. I've got a peanut allergy, guys. Session 0. Could we not bring anything to the table with peanuts in it because I'm allergic to peanuts? This happened to my friend in a game I was in many years ago, and he would remind people constantly that he was, had the death, allergic to peanuts. Some guy forgot, brought peanuts to the game. The guy felt the allergy starting, got up, excused himself, said sorry, the peanuts, left the room, got his EpiPen, took his pills, didn't disrupt the game, and nobody said shit. The guy apologized because he forgot that he was allergic to peanuts, moved on. That is how it should be handled. Me getting up, getting a drink, saying I have to go to the bathroom, coming back, working through it with the players, and then telling the DM at the end, this is what happened, this is why I did it, and I think I need a break for a week or 2 while I deal with all these other things. That is the way it should be. The fact that I got shit on was unique to me, and there's probably other factors because, let's face it, I'm not that easy to get along with, and I'm kind of a jackass. But still, I don't think I deserve that twice. If you advocate for yourself, if you let people know, and then if something happens that for whatever reason, nobody's fault, you're upset about it, if you handle it like an adult, you should not need safety tools. And if session 0, the DM tells you, this is what's going to be in my game. You're going to run into slimes. You're going to run into zombies. You're going to run into tentacle beasts. You're going to run into vampires. This is we're playing. We're playing, post-apocalypse, Call of Cthulhu, whatever. And if that upsets you, if anything in the game book upsets you, you shouldn't be playing the game. If anything here upsets you, notice it's all girls. Into fantasy art, nothing but bobas. If anything like here upsets you, triggers you, makes you remember a fear, brings up a memory of the time, that time you dressed like this, you know, whatever. You should not be playing this game. That is my take on safety tools. I also think, of course, people are playing these things right now to try and distract us from the Wizards of the Coast thing. You know, we had that horrible article from PBS. 2 days later, bam, Wizards of the Coast start rolling out the shit show. And then when it looks like we're actually getting some traction, bam, oh, safety tools, bam, the trailer for the D&D movie, bam, oh, I'm okay with this, it's not so bad, bam, oh, I'm upset about something that has nothing to do with this topic, so let me distract you. So, yeah. So if anybody from my Monday night game is watching, please understand I'm not blaming any of you for me being in a bad place and wanting and feeling the way I did at the game last night and losing my temper. There's obviously other factors. Now, that said, I don't feel I should be punished for it. I don't feel I should have been punished when I told the guys I need to take a break from the game because my mom's about to die. I shouldn't be punished to go, you know what, I'm going to just calm. So yeah, I don't know what else I'm trying to say. Did you see the new trailer for the D&D movie? No, I didn't. I heard it looks a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy and that it makes Chris Pine's character look like an incompetent white man who is useless. And somebody last night in some Twitter thing went off about how we shouldn't complain about the D&D movie because this is the kind of movie we want to see Hollywood make right now. And I was like, dude, no, we don't want to see Hollywood keep making movies like this. If you want to see a good D&D movie that we would like Hollywood to make more of, just go to Lady Hawk, Hawk the Slayer, Conan, Sword and the Sorcerer, any one of those schlocky movies that came out in the 80s that were D&D movies. Those are the kind of movies I want to see. I do not want to see Guardians of the Galaxy with fantasy stuff simply because. So, Veruca. Yes, Veruca. Give it to me now. These Verucas out there who are using safety tools as an excuse to. Puss in Boots is a pretty good D&D movie. Last of the Mohicans is a great D&D movie. Dragon Slayer. If you've never seen Dragon Slayer and you want to see Ars Magica the movie, Dragon Slayer. If you've never seen Hawk the Slayer and you want to see 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons the movie, there is no more 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons the movie than Hawk the Slayer. There's no way this D&D Honor Among Thieves can even get close to Hawk the Slayer. Hawk the Slayer is the perfect high-level, high fantasy, ridiculous levels of nonsense that you would see in if anything. So that's the same thing that happened to me, Cal. Yeah, and I could even go worse, where a DM was sexually assaulting a player and she kept trying to use her safety tools and it didn't stop. And even after the guy was spoken to by the staff of the store and by me the very next week, he continued with the behavior and she was like, I can't come back to the store. And we're like, dude, we're calling the cops. But, she did everything she was supposed to and it didn't work. I think my point is, I did everything that I was supposed to. It didn't work. And I hear a lot of stories from a lot of people who are like, I used the safety tools. I advocated for myself. I behaved like an adult and I had this experience. I was shit on. You're not allowed to complain. You're not allowed to tell people this upset me. You're not allowed to use the safety tools. All safety tools is give some jerk the ability to go, bam, you have to stop the game right now. And reset everything, because I just remembered that I'm uncomfortable with my character having a hold person cast on them, because it brings back my memories of that one time I had hold person cast on me in real life. So, if anybody has a good experience with where safety tools actually worked and were conducive to the game and made the experience better, I've never heard one. I've heard people claim, but I've never seen one actually used. I've only ever seen them used negatively. So yeah, that's me. They as a player, they didn't work for me. As a GM, they didn't work for me. In closing, I'm going to say the same thing I said at the beginning. Show them session what led zero, tell them what your game's about, and show them the pictures and go, this is what you're going to encounter in my game. Be it superheroes, outer space, post-Holocaust, fantasy, science fiction, Old West, Creeks and Crawdads, which, yes, is a real game. Call it Cthulhu, whatever game you're running, flip, flip, flip. This is what's going to be in my game. Is there anything here that upsets you? If it is, you shouldn't be playing this game. Let me find a game you will like. May I recommend Hello Kitty Island Adventure, the single greatest game ever made? Okay, that's it. That's all I feel like talking about today, because, again, this brings up a lot of bad memories and my anxiety, which is already in a pretty bad place right now because of this whole OGL thing and my experiences last night and my weekend, and I'm not feeling good. So, yeah, that's it for today. Go Bears. Go Bears. Go Clubs. Go Cubs. Yeah. Go Dodgers. What are we in? Basketball season now? Final Four? Super Bowl's coming up, right? WrestleMania is coming up. Anybody want to make WrestleMania predictions? Royal Rumble's this week. Anybody got Royal Rumble predictions? I'm saying Cody Rhodes wins or Sami Zayn wins. That's my predictions for the Rumble this weekend. Go Bears. All right, thanks for listening to me complain for 42 minutes, I hope. Oh, yeah, college hoops, dude. March Madness. Oh, yeah, dude. I am a college sports guy. UCLA, dude. So yeah, hopefully in the past 42 minutes, I managed to enunciate my concerns and my experiences. Hopefully I didn't make anybody feel crappy or make anybody feel like I was blaming them. I know that I have some level of blame in the situations that I was involved in, even if I don't feel the reaction was what I deserved. Obviously, it's not a vacuum. And obviously, this is my experience, unique to me, and should no way, shape, or form alter your opinion of this topic, whether it works or not. If it works for you, great. If everybody has agreed and you're handling it like adults and doing it, appropriately, great. If you're misusing it or abusing it, or if it makes things work at your situation, then, it needs to be adjusted. If you're like me and you were placed in a situation where you did what you were supposed to do and you advocated and it still went badly, then that's just either further proof that doesn't work, or that there was more to the story than just the fact that you felt uncomfortable. So I'm going to play my safety tool right now and tell you all to get off my land, you goddamn marks, and I will see you later.